Hi guys, my name is Jessie Lane. I am the owner and head trainer here at Rock Animal Training and Behavior. I just wanted to talk to you guys about the things that you might need if you're going to train your dog. So these are going to go over all the different training supplies, the different tools that you might need to have before you start training your dog. We're going to start with the most easiest one that everybody knows, and that is a leash. So there are so many different types of leashes out there. The type of leashes that I like to train and I always recommend is just a 4 to 6 foot plain leash. I am not a fan of the retractable leashes, but the ones that zip back up inside of them. They can have their use, but for the most part, most people don't know how to use them properly, and they become more of a danger to the dog and the owner than they do any kind of doing good. So I really don't like to use those for training, but a good 4 foot to 6 foot leash is important. There are so many different leashes out there. So you really just want to find one that is comfortable in your hands, that's comfortable on your dog, that's going to meet the needs of your dog, meaning if you have a very large dog, you want a thicker one. If you have a small, petite dog, you probably don't want a really heavy leash. The biggest thing that I would definitely say though, no matter what leash you get, is make sure you check to make sure this clasp works properly. Now I know this looks weird, I have a carabiner on my leashes, but usually it's a little clip. You just want to make sure that this is working properly and it hasn't broken or anything like that. It's good to check that every once in a while. The other thing is, if you have a dog that likes to chew and they've been chewing anywhere on your leash and it starts to fray, you want to make sure that it's not so bad that if your dog was to pull, it would snap the leash, because I have seen it do that multiple times before. So whatever leash you get, just make sure it's in good working order, make sure that it looks great and it feels good in your hands, and about 4 to 6 foot leash is usually what's best for training. Now, there are other leashes that can be recommended. They're not like you have to have, but they're very nice. And that is what's called long lines. There are different types of long lines. This is one, I think this one is 15 foot. So it's just a really long leash. That's all it is. It's lightweight. This is used for a lot of different things and some advanced training. It's great for puppies. This is not something you would put on your dog and use when you go on a walk with them, just like around the block. I mean, you could, but not really. This is more if you just need to add your dog some distance from you, or you want them to go sniff and smell. But a long line is really helpful for like teaching recalls, working on longer stays, things like that. So it is nice to have, but it's not necessarily something you have to have. But this is a long line. There's different sizes. They can go anywhere from 10 foot all the way up to 50 foot. So definitely look at the sizes before you purchase one. The other thing that you're going to want is just either a collar on your dog. Now collars, again, just like leashes, they can get super fancy. Usually just a well-fitting collar should not be able to slip off your dog's head. You can want a buckle collar. You would like a collar that clasps. Martingale collars are another collar that I preferably really like. This is a puppy martingale collar. Martingales, what they do is they can slip over your dog's head, or sometimes they'll have a little clasp right here. But the purpose of them is the leash attaches here, and it does tighten whenever the dog pulls, but it doesn't tighten to choke. And the reason that I like this is so a dog can't slip out of these. So if you have a dog, like I have Dobermans, and if their head is the same size as their neck, and what happens is if they were to pull the wrong way, their collar's just gonna fall off. So this kind of helps keep them from popping off their head. But you have to be careful that this doesn't choke them. That's the one thing you have to make sure it fits properly. Same thing with all the other collars though too. You wanna make sure it fits properly. Usually the general rule of thumb is you'd be able to put 2 fingers underneath, and it's not too tight, it's not too loose. Again, these are things you want to check just to make sure that your dog hasn't chewed on it, it's not frayed, and they're in good working order. Because if you're on your dog, or this is on your dog and you're in public, and they pop off of it or it breaks, then it cannot be a good situation. So definitely make sure these are in good working order. A lot of people ask me about harnesses. There are so many different types of harnesses out there. These are just a few examples. Regular harnesses, which is like this is actually a sport harness, but there's harnesses where the leash clips on the back. These can go on dogs, or you have harnesses where the leash clips on the front. Those are called front clip harnesses. Harnesses are fine for some dogs. I do believe it is owner preference and also what works best for the dog. But if they're going to fit, they need to fit properly. The dog shouldn't be able to pull a leg out, pull their head out, or anything like that. I do believe also that they need to make sure it's padded properly, it's the proper width for that dog, and it's not rubbing and causing any chafing or anything like that. Some harnesses can make some dogs pull harder because they can get a lot of oomph into their chest and pull forward. So some harnesses some dogs I don't recommend having harnesses on them. Sometimes though, you can have what's called a front clip harness. This is an example of a front clip harness. I will be honest, this is not my favorite brand, but it's what I have here at the training center. So this is called an Easy Walk harness. And what this does is it goes around just like a regular harness, but the clip is in the front where the leash attaches, so it's on the chest. And what this does is as the dog pulls forward, the leash will turn them back towards you. The thing about front clip leashes is it does not teach the dog to not pull. All it does is it gives you leverage so they're not jerking you around. You still have to teach the dog not to pull. So there's a lot of different brands out there now for front clip harnesses. Easy Walk I think was like one of the first ones to come around. And the problem with an Easy Walk is it doesn't always fit the dog properly. They can slip out of it, and it can also impede movement of their front legs as they walk. So some of my favorite front clip harnesses are like a Freedom harness, a Wonder Walker, or there's the Blue 9 Balance harness is one I really like as well. So front clip harnesses are another thing that might be useful for you. Some dogs do need to have some kind of a head halter. Especially if you have a very powerful dog and a smaller person or someone that's you're gonna fall over really easy. We don't want that. So what a head halter is, it's kind of like a halter on a horse. This goes like around their nose. Let's use our imagination skills. This is our dog, this is their nose, their ears. This part goes behind their ears, this goes across their nose. They can still open their mouth, they can breathe, they can eat, they can drink. But the leash attaches here, and it's just like a halter on a horse. If the dog was to pull forward, then their head gets turned back around towards you, so it gives you better leverage. The problem with this is, if it's not used properly, a dog can really hurt their neck, and dogs don't typically always like wearing these, so you have to condition them, you have to get them used to wearing it, and again, it doesn't teach your dog not to pull, it just gives you leverage so they can't pull you as you're trying to teach them. So these can be useful, but they are usually the last thing I reach for, depending on the dog. So these are some of the tools that you might need. Some other things that I would highly recommend is for you to have some kind of bait bag. So this is a bait bag I got off Amazon. Bait bags are basically just an easy way for you to have access to food quickly. You can use your pockets, but the thing is sometimes you don't want food in your pockets. Or sometimes it's hard to get in your pockets. I personally use a jacket. I have a jacket with lots of pockets, and so I'll use that. Fanny packs are back in style. Those make great treat bags. And you can also use a carpenter bag if you needed to. But it's really recommended to have a treat bag, especially if you're doing specific training times or if you're out and about with your dog. This is super helpful so you have treats on you at all times. The next thing you're probably going to want for your dog training is treats. I'm going to probably make a whole nother video on the types of treats and things. This brand, I'm not really endorsing this brand. I don't endorse any brand. I just have treats that really work really well. But basically, the treats that you want to make sure that they're small, easy to deliver. You want to make sure your dog likes them. You want to make sure they're not going to upset your dog's stomach. But when I say small and easy to deliver, you're not going to give a piece this big. You're not even going to get a piece this big. You're going to do about M&M size piece like this. So you really want small, easy to deliver treats and something easy for the dog to eat. So I'll do probably a whole video on treats at some point, but this just gives you a little bit of idea for that. The other thing that is going to be probably super helpful for dog training is you might want to teach them to go to bed and lay on something. So you can use their dog bed, you can use a blanket, you can use a towel, you can use your bed, you can use a cot, anything like that. But I have this little cooling mat over here. This is really helpful to teach a dog, hey, go lay down. When you need to lay on this, this is where you need to settle and relax. Yoga mats work great, bath rugs work great. Just something to show your dog, hey, let's lay down on this and relax. These right here are also placement boards. They're not necessarily made for laying down, but you can have a dog sit on those if you need to. Other great tools are toys. Toys can be great motivators. So whatever motivates your dog toys-wise, a rope, a ball, frisbee, things like that, you can definitely use this as a motivator, so having these is helpful. Also, another great training tool is having something for your dog to chew on. This is a topple. It's not really made to chew on, but you stuff it with food and maybe freeze it, and it gives you a chance for your dog to kind of lick it out. And this is great, so like if you were to go to the park or you were to go to patio or something like that, you could give this to your dog while they're relaxing and you're hanging out, and it gives them something to do. Bully sticks are another idea if you're comfortable giving those to your dogs, but this is called a topple. Kongs, a stuffed Kong works the same way. The other thing that you're going to want for training is a clicker. I have another video on nothing but clicker training, but if you are doing clicker training with your dog, you're going to want a clicker. Clickers sound like this, and it is just a tool or a mark that tells your dog exactly what they did at that moment is why they're receiving a reward, and it just helps you bridge that communication for them so that there's a clear communication and your dog learns a little bit faster. So these are the things that most people are going to need to start doing their dog training at home or practicing after doing classes or lessons. If you have any questions, I'd love to help you out. You can always give us a call or email us here at Rock Animal Training. Thank you so much. Have a great day.